something going on. You do something to me that I can't explain. Hold me closer and I feel no pain. Every beat of my heart, we got something going on. Tender love is blind, it requires a dedication. All this love we feel needs no conversation. We ride it together, making love with each other, islands in the stream.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the video screens. Thank you. To deliver tonight's invocation, please welcome Tennessee State Representative John DeBerry.
In 1787, Benjamin Franklin and other delegates were doing everything they could to codify the Constitution. They were at a stalemate. They couldn't move forward. He spoke to his fellow delegates and said that when they were fighting the war that they were supposed to lose, they had prayed every day. And he said they had had their entire deliberation and had never prayed. Let us never forget to thank the God that has brought us so far. Pray with me. Our Father, our Creator, our Protector, our great benevolent Provider, we, your humble, contrite, and obedient servants, approach you today with hearts that are filled with thanksgiving, praise, and reverential awe. Father, we acknowledge our desperate need for your love, for your grace, for your mercy, for your forbearance and forgiveness. We recognize our own imperfections, our finite flaws and faults and failures, while confessing our faith in your infinite power, wisdom, and perfection. We come, Father, as grateful recipients of your abundant blessings, as we, the people of Tennessee, the people of this great nation, recognize that you have blessed us, truly blessed us, far beyond our ability to say thank you. You have blessed us in Tennessee. You have blessed us in America to be the beacon of light, hope, and faith on the top of the hill for all the world to witness and see your glory and your grace. Father, we are reminded of your Son's words, repeated by our President Lincoln, that a house divided against itself cannot stand. So, Father, we pray for unity. Keep us together, keep us strong, make us act as brethren. So we ask for a great degree of understanding, courage, that we may see the wisdom in Dr. King's words, that we can live together as brothers, or we can die together as fools. Father, finally, we know that freedom is not free, and our military cemeteries acknowledge the men and women, first responders and others who have died for our freedom, who have served this country. Father, keep us mindful of their sacrifice, that every day we as people of this nation ask ourselves the simple question, am I worth dying for? Is this nation living up to the sacrifices made? So, Father, bless our courageous leader and President Trump. Bless our strong and faithful Governor Bill Lee. Bless the members of the House and our speakers. Give them statesmanship and leadership. Bless our national delegation in Washington, that they may stand strong in the midst of dissent and resistance of simple common sense. Father, you're our rock, our shield, our foundation, our only hope. Thank you for blessing Tennessee. Thank you for blessing America. Bless this grand old party with vision, discerning statesmanship, that we will stand firm without compromise on those values that have shaped this country for over 200 years. It's in your darling Son, Jesus' name, that we have the audacity to pray and to approach you. We, as a people, say, thank you. Let us all say, amen.
To honor America with the national anthem, please welcome Josiah Siska.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good evening. I'm United States Senator Bill Hagerty, and I could not be more honored than to represent the greatest state in the nation, that's Tennessee. Tonight, we're here together to celebrate the new golden age of America, the new golden age of Tennessee. And I want to acknowledge the leadership of my good friend, Chairman Scott Golden. Scott, thank you for all that you've done to help bring all of us together. And to the State Executive Committee, thank you for your leadership, thank you for your energy, and thank you for keeping Tennessee the conservative state that it is. I want to extend a special thanks to all of the elected leaders in the audience today. And in particular, I want to thank my good friend, Mike Johnson. Mike is going to grace us tonight with his wisdom. I want to thank him for his leadership. Working closely with President Trump and with the Senate, he delivered one big, beautiful bill. A bill that's going to extend prosperity in America, strengthen our southern border, rebuild our defense, and put America again on the path to the golden era. Think about what's happened just in the past 7 or 8 months since President Trump has come into office. Our border is secure now. Crime in our cities is coming down. The economy is moving again, and we are respected around the world. There's a reason Vladimir Putin asked President Trump to meet him in Alaska. There's a reason that everybody is coming to the table on tariffs. There's a reason that America is back on top, and that's leadership, strong conservative leadership. And I want to thank everybody in this room for everything that you do to make certain that Tennessee values prevail, and that we continue to win, not only here in Tennessee, but across the nation. Thank you to everybody. And again, let's celebrate a great new golden era together here in America, and certainly all across the best state in the nation, Tennessee.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Senator Marsha Blackburn.
Well, hello, Tennessee Republicans. What a great crowd we have tonight. And I am absolutely so excited to join you. I want to say congratulations to all of the State Executive Committee, to Scott Golden and his team. This is a wonderful celebration. Indeed, this is Tennessee's golden age. And Stuart McWhorter, who is chair of the dinner tonight, congratulations to you and your team. This is our biggest crowd ever. We have over 1,700 people who are joining us tonight for this dinner. Really quite an amazing crowd. I do want to give a special welcome to Speaker Mike Johnson. Welcome him back to Nashville. And yes, we're so proud of him. And you'll find this interesting. Speaker Johnson actually worked his way through school doing the same job I did, working 80 hours a week during the summers, selling books door to door, doing it year after year, learning how to build and lead an organization and how to run a business. So we are thrilled to have him back in Nashville. You know, we have so much to celebrate. In the 2024 elections, Tennessee Republicans gave President Donald Trump nearly 2 million votes. This helped him not only win the Electoral College, it also helped him to win the popular vote. We are so pleased to celebrate that, and I will tell you this. I think when it comes to voting in Republican primaries, it should be Republicans who vote in Republican primaries. Now, President Donald Trump is not wasting a single minute. He is hard at it. And look at what we have gotten done in 6 months. And indeed, Senator Hagerty touched on this. Our border is secure. We have last month, 0 illegal aliens coming into the country. We're building the border wall. We are deporting illegal aliens, and God bless Governor Bill Lee for activating the National Guard to help with these deportations. We are restoring our standing in the world. We are rebuilding our military. And to all of our military men and our military women, stand up. Let us say thank you for what you do for our country. Our veterans and our military, this is the reason we are able to assemble here tonight. Well, we also have defunded the NPR, and the U.S. Department of Education is going goodbye. We've gotten rid of woke, DEI, CRT, ESG, and the Green New Deal. One thing that you will love to know, as we passed the big, beautiful bill, that is the largest tax cut in U.S. history. We were able to get tax off of tips, overtime, and my legislation, no tax on Social Security for our nation's seniors. Plus, we were able to make certain there is no funding for Planned Parenthood in the big, beautiful bill. Now, another thing that has happened, we are sending power and authority back to the states. Many of us have said for years we needed to get things out of D.C. because the power should never have gone there in the first place. And now it's coming back to the states. We've got a great governor in Bill Lee. We have incredible state legislators in our General Assembly, led by Speaker Sexton and Lieutenant Governor McNally. And now is the time, with the power coming back, for this to be Tennessee's golden age. And I know our governor and our legislator are going to grab that power and that authority, and we are going to be sure that we are going to have that golden age for our country, for our state. You know, when you look at it, we are Team Tennessee. Together, everyone achieves more, and working with our governor, working with our legislature, Tennessee should be #1 in conservative policies. We should be the most creative, innovative state that there is. We should be #1 in fighting crime and deporting illegal aliens. We should be #1 in protecting life and our children. We should be #1 in educating our children and making certain that parents have the right to weigh in on the education of their child. And thank you to our legislature for passing school choice this year. No parent should have to win the lottery in order to have a say in their child's education. We should be #1 when it comes to ag production and energy generation and healthcare delivery. And we, the great state of Tennessee, in Tennessee's golden age, we should be #1 in individual freedom. Thank you all for letting me be with you tonight.
Please welcome the dinner chairman for tonight's Statesman's Dinner, Stuart McWhirter.
Good evening. It is truly an honor to serve as chair of the 48th Annual Statesman Dinner. Tonight, we celebrate, as the senator just mentioned, a record-breaking evening, the largest attendance ever, and the most money raised for all statesmen's dinners. So congratulations to all of you. This success reflects the strength of Tennessee, the strength of our leadership at the federal, the state, and the local levels across all 95 counties. Tennessee truly is the envy of the nation because we are leading in so many ways. And why is that? Because of those who came before us, who built a strong foundation. Because of those leading today, who are building upon that foundation. And because of how we choose to lead into the future, now more than ever matters. I want to thank Scott Golden, the executive committee, officers, staff, and the many volunteers who made tonight such a success. Now, it is my distinct honor to introduce our next speaker. He is not only a leader I admire and respect, but also a friend. Governor Bill Lee was called to lead Tennessee in this very moment for a greater purpose. He has led us extremely well. Through natural disasters, through a global pandemic, and through personal trials, including First Lady Maria's courageous fight with cancer and the passing of his beloved mother, Miss Anna. And he has continued to serve with strength and grace. What drives him every single day is a simple but powerful mission to make life better for more than 7 million Tennesseans by ensuring that Tennessee remains the best place in America to live, work, and raise a family. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to introduce my friend, my boss, and the 50th governor of the great state of Tennessee, Bill Lee.
Thank you. That was incredibly gracious. You all remind me of the graciousness that Tennesseans have shown me and Maria as we have traveled this state and had the incredible honor of serving for the last 6.5 years as governor of the greatest state in America. I want to thank Stuart McWhorter as well, my friend of 25 years, a public servant to this state for 7, and the chairman of this dinner, which is the most successful statesman's dinner we've ever had. I talk about America being the greatest, Tennessee being the greatest state in America. Americans have figured that out, and they've moved here in record numbers to experience opportunity and security and freedom that Tennessee offers. You may be one of those who have moved here recently from some other state. If you are, welcome to America at its finest. One of the reasons that we have been a beacon to this country is because we have the best legislative body in this country. If you are a member of the men and women who serve in the Tennessee legislature as citizen legislators, they have changed the course of this state. If you are a member of the General Assembly, would you please stand so we can recognize you? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. These are the folks that get it done in the Capitol every day, and they are led by 2 of the finest men in this country. Randy McNally, our lieutenant governor, has served this state for decades, serving the people of Tennessee. He is relentless in his pursuit of defending what's right about our state He served our people well. He's a friend and a mentor. Join me in welcoming and thanking Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. And there is no more fearless a leader than Cameron Sexton, who is unafraid to step forth and make the decisions that make this country, position it to be an environment where people can thrive. So join me in thanking our speaker, my dear friend, Cameron Sexton. You know, I wasn't very involved in politics up until 7 or 8 years ago. Many of you are, and I'm glad you are. I wasn't. I have learned a thing or two about politics in the last 7 or 8 years. It can be very divisive. It can be very toxic. It doesn't have to be. We can love those who may not love us. We can disagree with those who have a different view and opinion than we do, and we can do so with dignity and with grace and with respect for every one of God's creations, every person, regardless of where they are. We should make that our goal, for that to be the way politics looks in Tennessee. We can be different and we should be different. But there's another thing about politics I've learned, is that it matters. The reason politics matters is because politics shapes policy. Policy impacts people. There's 7 million people in this state who are hopeful that we'll use our politics to shape policy that changes their lives. A kid in the inner city who has had no opportunity for education freedom, because of your work, the policy in this state has given them a chance at education freedom for the first time in their life. That is why politics matters, because it creates policy. There is no one in this country who understands that more than our next guest. I want you to pay close attention to what this man says when he's going to be introduced by video in a minute. But a man who understands that politics, in fact, shapes policy, and he has given his life in this country as the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the U.S. Congress to forge ahead with policy that changes the shape of things to come for this country. When Donald Trump became the 47th president, this country took a step in the right direction. When Speaker Mike Johnson was placed in the role that he's in today, policy in the House of Representatives began to move forward to benefit Americans of all types. It is a great honor. I met Mike Johnson at the White House with a meeting with President Trump asked me to come there. I met this man, and I knew when I met him that he was a different kind of leader. He's a man of deep faith, and he understands his purpose and his calling and is committed to that. We're very fortunate to have him as a speaker tonight. He's going to be introduced by video, and then I want you to help me welcome Speaker Mike Johnson. Please watch the video.
Economists predicted we'd be in a better position, but things are moving much slower than expected.
Households are paying $460 more per month to buy the same amount of goods and services.
40-year, 41-year. As you might expect, President Biden is blissfully unaware.
That was the Biden White House.
Never dealt with a fentanyl crisis, and now we're seeing hundreds of Americans are down there.
Meanwhile, the radical left, the Democrat party is divided in half.
Taking up so much time to recharge, just who is actually running the show?
Biden is humiliating our country on the world stage.
The choice could not be more stark.
Donald Trump will become the 47th president.
Donald Trump does it again.
Has won the 2024
election. Will once again consider itself a growing nation. Make America great. The golden age of America begins right now.
It's morning again in America. Today, more men and women will go to work than ever before in our country's history. Nearly 2,000 families today will buy new homes, more than at any time in the past 4 years. This afternoon, 6,500 young men and women will be married. And with inflation at less than half of what it was just 4 years ago, they can look forward with confidence to the future. Our country is prouder and stronger and better. It's morning again in America.
Donald Trump has endorsed Mike Johnson. Elect Donald Trump gave his full endorsement to Johnson.
Speaker Mike Johnson is a good, hard-working, religious man. He will do the right thing.
Total number of votes cast is 434.
News on Capitol Hill.
Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, has been reelected Speaker of the House.
Especially want to thank all the extraordinary people of the great state of Louisiana. America is back. A man is a man, and a woman is a woman. America is premised on the self-evident truth that every single person is made in the image of our Creator, God.
I'm trying to be a happy warrior like Reagan taught us to do. And I'm convinced America is the greatest nation in the history of the world. I'm convinced that God has given us another chance to save it. And that's why I keep doing this job and keep smiling. They can't bring me down.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that warm welcome. We feel right at home in Tennessee. We really do. That was my walkout music that they do at big events. And I just want you to know that Kix Brooks is from my hometown of Shreveport, Louisiana. So it's a great song to play for lots of different reasons. We are so happy to be in Music City, so happy to be in the volunteer state. We love this state. We count upon this state for all of our national politics, as you know. And it's a great blessing to be here. I want to give my congratulations and thanks as well to Chairman Scott Golden and to Stuart, everybody who worked on this evening. What a great blessing to have, they're saying, the largest crowd. It's amazing. Really important. Thank you. The Tennessee Republican Party worked very hard. I'm honored by the cool intro video they did. It's all great. Everything is superb. Everything's better in Tennessee, it seems. I don't know. I appreciate the service of my friend Governor Lee. He's done an extraordinary job, and I love the way he gives honor where honor is due. That's a biblical admonition, as you know. Tennessee is blessed by strong leaders at every level who fight for your state every day in Washington. I'm blessed to work with so many of those extraordinary leaders in our delegation and your delegation that you send to Washington. They're not just colleagues, they're some of my greatest friends as well. And I want to call them out tonight. I think they're all here. They're just such an outstanding group. Tennessee's 1st Congressional District is represented by Congresswoman Diana Harshberger. And if she's here, stand up, Diana. The 2nd District is Congressman Tim Burchett. Where's Tim? As seen on TV, Tim, I say, yeah. The 3rd District is represented by Chuck Fleischman. Where's Brother Chuck? Chuck is my height, so you might not see him. He's stand up. He and the next Tennessee's 4th District, represented by Scott DeJarle. Where's Scott? Those two guys have been serving Tennessee a long time, and I think technically they're both the deans of the delegation, but you'll have to ask them which one it is. 5th District, represented by Andy Ogles. Where's Brother Andy? 6th District, Congressman John Rose. I want to thank John for inviting me here tonight. This is his district. Man, I'm so jealous. You get to represent this amazing district. He's 4 terms, been doing a great job there. 7th District, my classmate, David Kustoff, extraordinary congressman. We're going to add another seat when we fill the one that Mark Green has left, my dear friend Mark Green, Tennessee's 7th district. So we'll see how that one comes out here, okay? Of course, everybody knows you're so well represented by your senators, Marsha Blackburn, of course, and Bill Hagerty. Thanks to so... Thank you for indulging me. I didn't want to drag it on long. I could give you the resumes of all these extraordinary people, and they deserve it. But in the interest of time, I know that you understand you have an incredible lineup in Washington. I mean, pound for pound, this might be the most powerful delegation in Congress, and I mean that sincerely. You're truly blessed, and America is truly blessed by the extraordinary caliber of public servants that you've sent to Washington. And what they're doing every day is they're helping us. This is no small thing. They're helping us to defend and preserve the greatest nation in the history of the world. It's not even close. I love what they put in that video. It really is, because of that hard work and because of your hard work, the Tennessee Republican Party in the trenches every day doing this. It really is morning in America again. And we have awaited this since Reagan first came up with that phrase. And it's certainly true. 2025 has indeed kick-started the new golden age of America, and it's a very real thing. Listen, I have a very brief time to speak with you tonight. I want to do two things. I want to address very briefly two important subjects. I want to talk with you about the current things that are occupying our time, the challenge that's ahead of us and what we're going to do to win. But I also want to address the permanent things, because that's what our party stands for after all. And it's good for us to be reminded of that, particularly on the eve of our 250th anniversary as a nation. That's right. My friends, let's talk about the current things very quickly. God has truly blessed us with the opportunity that we have right now. Now, you know, before the election cycle last fall, everybody thought that this was not going to be possible. All the pundits, all the Democrats, the experts at MSDNC, what are they calling it now? MS, it's not that anymore, that network. They just changed the name. Whatever they call it, they all said this was not supposed to happen, okay? The night before the election, my friends, the headline said Republicans are going to lose the House. We didn't believe it. They said the U.S. Senate would come down to a coin toss in last fall's election. They insisted that we would lose our House majority and we would be forced to turn the House over to Nancy Pelosi's hand-picked successor, Hakeem Jeffries of New York, to be the Speaker of the House. I know. And look, you know what they did to President Trump. They threw everything they had at our president, and they tried to take him down, from indictments to actual assassination attempts. But we all saw what happened. In fact, everybody around the globe saw what happened. First, God spared President Trump's life. That's a fact. Not once, by the way, but twice. And he and I have talked about those harrowing events many times, and how they played out on the world stage for everybody to see, and how no one can deny the miracles, true miracles, that saved him, and the divine hand of providence, which has allowed him to lead this, for the second time, the last great superpower on the earth at this pivotal moment in American and world history. It is no small thing. And I can tell you that President Trump's head and heart are in a very different place now than they were when we first started all this about 9 years ago. He thinks very contemplatively, very carefully about his own mortality, about his legacy, about the historic times that we're living in. And I want to tell you my firsthand account, because I talk to him multiple times every day. I spend a lot of time with the president. He is exactly where he needs to be, and where all of us would want for him to be, and where millions of people have prayed that he will be. That's a fact. So listen, everybody on the left said we were going to lose. They were convinced of it. They were already throwing the parties, and we defied it. We won the White House, the Senate, and the House. We have unified government, an extraordinary event in history. And we determined not to make light of it. On Election Day, last November, an overwhelming 75 million Americans put President Trump and Republicans in Congress back in charge. And we don't take it lightly. We received that mandate. We were happy to have it, and we hit the ground running. Vince Lombardi said, "Victory loves preparation," and we prepared carefully for the moment that we believed would happen, that we would have unified government, and we determined not to waste it. And so we hit the ground running. We passed the most consequential and productive legislation. We've had the most consequential and productive start to a presidential administration in the modern era. It's not even close. It's incredible what is happening. Just in the House alone, let me give you a quick snapshot. Since January, we've already passed more than 250 key pieces of legislation. We codified more than 50 of President Trump's executive actions. That's right. We started to hold these activist judges accountable. You know that? And the Biden bureaucrats as well. And you know what we did? The biggest issue in the last election and the promise that we made, we secured the nation's border. There's 0 crossings now. Basically, the common theme is that we're restoring common sense. And that makes sense to the American people. And since the nightmarish 4 years of the Biden and Harris administration left literally every area of public policy like a disaster zone, we went straight to work to fix it all in one big, beautiful bill. Okay, that's what we did, all right? The president named it that, all right? In fact, he wanted to put an exclamation point on the name of the legislation. I won that one. In spite of our challenges, working with y'all, we had one, y'all, I'm in the South, so I could, y'all, all right? We were working, y'all, with one of the smallest margins of all time. Our margin for 90 of the first 100 days was 1 vote. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? In spite of that, we had the most aggressive timetable imaginable with the most aggressive legislative agenda. And we fulfilled our promises by God's grace, and we delivered the largest tax cuts, as Marcia said, and the largest spending cuts in history, all at the same time. We did the largest investment in border security in a generation. We did the right things to ensure peace through strength. And you know what we did also? We are returning once again to American energy dominance, and that's going to be a big thing. And as has been mentioned tonight, we added in, just as cherry on top, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. That's right, tax cuts for seniors. And we also eliminated fraud, waste, and abuse. And we eliminated taxpayer-funded handouts to illegal aliens. Enough of that, enough of that. We did all that in one big, beautiful piece of legislation. Let me tell you real quick, a couple of stats real quick, what this means for the people of Tennessee, because the calculations are done by state. The average wages in this state are going to rise between $3,400 and $6,100 over the next 4 years for individuals. Families here are going to see between $7,000 and $9,900 more in their actual take-home pay. 1.2 million seniors in Tennessee are going to get tax relief because of that legislation that we passed on their Social Security. 66% of Tennessee's workers could benefit from the no tax on tips provision. And I was at a bar today on the way in. I went in to talk about no tax on tips. That's why I was there. I mean, I was in a suit, you know, but hey. But they're excited about that. You know what? Because that's real money for real people, and that's the promise we made in the election, that we would take care of them, and we have. We're fulfilling our promises. We also protected an estimated 139,000 jobs here over the next 4 years. We extended the 199A pass-through deduction, which helps 78,000 small businesses in Tennessee. And finally, our bill makes permanent 176 opportunity zones in this state, which have already created 24,000 jobs. That's big stuff. Now, we can never forget that every single Democrat in Congress, House and Senate, voted against every one of those big wins for the people. I know. And we've got to remind the voters of that when the left lies about our bills. Because how many of you know that's all they got left? They don't have a leader, no platform, no policies that are digestible by the American people. They just have to lie about what we're doing. Democrats voted against the prosperity and security of the American people, and they voted against working families' tax cuts. It's that simple, and they cannot escape it. In next year's midterms, the American people are going to hold them accountable. All that's already been accomplished, but my friends, we're just getting started. We have much more to do. And as we continue to deliver on our promises to the American people, I am convinced that in 2026, we will defy history once again, and we will grow the House majority. We got to have a bigger majority. We're going to do it. The stakes could not be higher, and everybody in this room knows that. We honestly don't have a choice. We have to win. If we lost next year, you know exactly what would happen. Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries and AOC and Jasmine Crockett and the radical left, they will immediately move to impeach our president. You know they will. First week of that Congress in January 27th. And they'll bring our America First agenda to a grinding halt. They will try to unwind everything that I just recounted for you. As you've seen, they're already trying to do that. I mean, as we are here tonight, Gavin Newsom is saying the quiet part out loud. Right now as we speak, he and the radical California Democrats are trying to shred their own state constitution to, quote, end the Trump presidency. That's the gambit. I got a little message for Gavin Newsom, all right? Tweeting about President Trump is as close as you are ever going to get to the presidency, brother. If his bumper sticker says, "Make America California," we win automatically, right? We win automatically. The left is becoming more radical than ever before, and it's not a laughing matter, it's really not, because this is not our father's Democratic Party. These people have gone far, far to the left. Look what's happening right now. In America's largest city, the global center of capitalism, right now the Democrats have nominated a full-fledged Marxist to be the mayor of New York City. That's the future of the Democratic Party, but it cannot be the future of America. We simply cannot let them win, and we won't. We will not let them. That leads me to the other subject I wanted to address with you very briefly, and I'll bring this to a close, but this is important. We talked about the current things, but we also have to address the permanent things, because really that's what this is all about. This next election cycle and what we do in the days ahead are not just about ensuring that President Trump has 4 full years to save America. It's not just about us defying history to grow a president's majority in a midterm election. This is about preserving the very foundations and the principles that have made our nation what it is. Scripture asks a very important question, and it is not a rhetorical one for us. Psalm 11:3 says, "If the foundations be destroyed, what will the righteous do?" We have to address that. And as we approach the 250th anniversary of this grand experiment in self-governance, it's incumbent upon us to remember what those principles and foundations are and to pass them along to the next generation. In this position, as all my colleagues in Congress and many of the state legislators here, thank you all for your work as well, we often get lots of opportunities to go and speak to universities and college students, young people. And I don't really have time in the schedule right now to do it, but I try to do that as much as I can and I want to encourage all of us to do the same. You cannot take for granted that the generations behind us understand the source of their freedom, right? And I wanted to just give you very quickly a short summary, a little summary that I use to teach people about the importance of our foundations, about the importance of American exceptionalism and what it means. You can elaborate on it for a long, long time, or you can make it simple and digestible, and that's what I try to do. I just did this a few weeks ago. We had all of our summer interns on Capitol Hill in a big ballroom, hundreds of them, and I just did this exercise with them as I do on university campuses, and I'm gonna give it to you very quickly, and I'm gonna wind this up, okay? But speaking of those permanent things, often when I'm in a big setting, I'll be in an auditorium on a college campus. I was with the interns, and they brought in a big whiteboard, and I had it behind me, and I said, let me begin today by asking you, now these are Capitol Hill interns, okay, that I'm asking. I said, raise your hand if you agree that you live in the greatest nation in the history of the world. And well, I know you guys do, okay. But when you do this with university students, you would be saddened by the results. Because when I'm on a college campus, and even when I was with the interns, I didn't have all the hands. On your average university campus right now, you'll get a small percentage. And sheepishly, a few students are raising it. Yeah, I live in the greatest nation. Okay, put your hands down. I'll say to the students, okay, for the rest of you, if you don't agree that you live in the greatest nation in the history of the world, would you at least acknowledge that you live in a great nation? A couple more hands will go up. And I say, put your hands down. Listen to me. Your freedom will be taken away from you if you do not understand the source of it. Let me tell you something, students. I'm a constitutional law attorney. I could put on my whole case here, but let me summarize it. You definitely live in the greatest nation in the history of the world. It's not even close, okay? Everybody in this ballroom tonight knows, by any objective measure, we're the most free, most successful, most powerful, most benevolent nation that has ever been on the face of the earth. And it's not by happenstance. There's a reason for that. So I say to the students, I get a marker and I go up to the whiteboard and I say, I'm going to show you very quickly, in 5 words, I'm going to depict for you why you live in the greatest nation in the history of the world. This is about the foundations. This is about the permanent things. So I go up to the whiteboard and I write very big at the top of the board, G-O-D, big letters. Then I come about halfway. Okay, that's right. Sadly, that is not an applause line at the university campus. Okay, but I write G-O-D very big. I go halfway down the board and I write the word king, lowercase k. And then down from the king, I draw a bunch of arrows. At the bottom of the board, I write the people / the subjects. So I back up and I look at the whiteboard and I tell the students, I'm going through this with you because you can do the same thing. We all need to explain these things. So I look at the whiteboard and I tell the students, I say, what you're looking at right here is a sort of a graphic word picture of a philosophy known as the divine right of kings. Now, this was the prevailing philosophy of all of our predecessor nations, the great nations on the world. It's a European medieval notion, and the idea is that there is a sovereign God hovering above, but the king, the earthly king, is the sovereign. The king is the one that has all the power. The king is the one that can tell you what property you can hold, probably what you can do to earn a living, sometimes who you can marry, how many children you can have. The king is everything. Well, the founders of our country come along in 1776, and they had a problem with that because the king was a tyrant. And I tell the students, the king was taking away the rights of the people. And our founders were students of history, and by the way, they were students of Scripture. And they knew that that wasn't right. Yeah, that's right. G.K. Chesterton was the famous British statesman and philosopher, and he famously said one time, America is the only nation in the world that is founded upon a creed, and it is listed with almost theological lucidity or clarity in the Declaration of Independence. What is our creed? It's that second paragraph that we all had to memorize in school and nobody does anymore. They're probably doing it in Tennessee schools, and I want to thank you for that, but here's what it says. We hold these truths, Jefferson wrote, okay, on behalf of a small committee, included Franklin and Adams. We hold these truths to be self-evident. And I will stop with the college and university students. I say, but what is a self-evident truth? Something that's obvious. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Hold on. It doesn't say born equal. It says created equal, okay? By someone. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among those are the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is the radical revolutionary statement that started our country off 250 years ago, and that is the reason, that is the foundational principle that made us the great nation that we are. Why? I take the eraser and I go up to the whiteboard, and I erase king off the board. I erase all the arrows that went down to the king. I erase the word the subjects. Now all that's left on the board is God and the people. And so I draw all the arrows down from God to the people, and I say, now look, that was a revolutionary concept. Well, it was. See, here's the thing, students, I tell them. The founders acknowledge the truths about all this. They acknowledge that our rights do not derive from government. They come from God himself, all right? Lincoln famously articulated it many years later in the Gettysburg Address. And he said, we are dedicated to this proposition that we are one nation under God. and that a government of the people, by the people, for the people shall not perish from the earth. See, there's all sorts of implications to that philosophy that started us as a nation. Because the founders I mentioned were students of Scripture. Many of them were seminarians, and they understood that God is our creator, God is the one that gives us our rights, and we are created by God in His image. Now, what does that mean? Oh, that's full of implications, because if we're made in God's image, listen, students, I tell the college students, that means every single person has inestimable dignity and value. And your value is not related in any way to the color of your skin, what zip code you live in, your talents, how good looking you are. It's irrelevant. Your value is inherent because it's given to you by God. Now, here's the problem I tell the students. There's all sorts of principles that come out of this. The founders also understood from Scripture that man is fallen by nature. Man is bad by nature, and man must be controlled, and power corrupts. And as Lord Acton observed, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so you have to have checks and balances and separation of powers, and you got to have all these different things to make sure that power is not concentrated too heavily in just a couple of hands, because that's dangerous, because men are men. And God is God, and our freedom comes from God, and our responsibility ultimately is to Him. It transcends the civil authorities. It goes to our Creator Himself. My friends, that's the birth certificate of your nation, and you cannot forget it. You cannot forget it. Now, here's the problem I tell the students. I take the eraser and I go back to the board. There's a problem going on right now. I've been doing this for the last few years, and I think we're beginning to turn the tide on this, but this is what I've been saying. Right now, something terrible is happening. Your freedom is in jeopardy because we have forgotten the foundations and the principles. And I take the eraser and I go up and I erase G-O-D. And I erase all the arrows that go down to the people. And now the only word left on the board, 2 words, the people. So I take the most ominous black thick marker that I can find, one of those big Trump markers, and I go and I circle the people. And I say, now, I back up and look at it and go, Now, if you think that's a happy circumstance, you are quite wrong, and you are not a student of history, because what you're looking at right there is a visual depiction of Marxism. Communism and socialism are deviations of Marxism, and it begins with the premise, students, that there is no God. That is anti-American, and it is quite dangerous, because every time somebody's tried to go down that road, it's led to the murder of tens of millions of innocent people just in the 20th century alone. And by the way, if there is no God, that whole thing about your inestimable dignity and value that's inherent, that's not true anymore. Who gives you your value? See, if there's no God, and that's what society's doing right now, they're telling us that there is no God. We're one nation under God. We can't forget it, because if it's not true, I'm just saying, students, I tell them, if it's not true, we're all in trouble. Because if it's just the people ourselves, heaven help us. Oh, never mind, there's no heaven. Help us, okay? Because remember that thing about power corrupting and all that? By the way, this is the basis of socialism. If you're not individually valuable and you're not created by God who loves you and has a plan for your life, then you're just another social animal. That's the root of socialism. And you know what happens to social animals? They have to be herded and controlled by the people who gather the power in their hands and become tyrants, and your freedom is taken away. Don't go down the road of socialism, kids, okay? That's what that is. You can unpack that a lot more, and I do when I have more time, but that's the central premise. How do we get back to it? How do we preserve freedom? How do we secure those foundations? We return to the permanent things. We remind Americans of these great truths. We are the greatest nation in the history of the world for a reason. We are a nation under God. It's put right there in gold letters right above the Speaker's rostrum in the House of Representatives to remind all the would-be socialists who might one day be elected to Congress that there is a greater truth. And we got to remind the next generation. I'm way out of time. Let me close this by saying it is the honor of my life to serve as the 56th Speaker of the House and to help lead this battle with all of you. There is a role for every single one of us to play. None is more important or less important than the other. This is a government of, by, and for the people. And the people have to be engaged or it doesn't work. I'm so encouraged to see this big ballroom tonight with all these freedom lovers in Tennessee. I'm going to do one thing if you'll indulge me. Chase, do you have my phone? Bring my phone real quick. I just had an idea. The leader of this fight, of course, is our president, Donald J. Trump, the 45th and 47th president. Okay, so I just had the idea. I'm going to make him a video. I can't let this crowd go. I'm going to send him a video when I leave tonight, okay? So play along, all right? I'm going to turn around. We'll do a selfie, like I'm a millennial or something. I'm going to do a selfie here. And I'm going to tell him where we are, what we're doing, and then I'm going to say something like, are we going to win Tennessee? Let him know how you feel about it, okay? Hold on just a second. Well, let me turn it around. See, I am a millennial, right? There we go. Okay, here we go. Mr. President, I'm here in Tennessee, the great state of Tennessee. USA, USA. A lot of energy here tonight, Mr. President. This is the Tennessee Republican Party and 1,700 of your biggest supporters here. We are celebrating tonight Tennessee's golden age and America's golden age. We want you to know one thing. We have your back. We're going to win in 2026, and Tennessee's going to deliver, aren't we? Go get him. He'll love that. That's huge. Okay. I talked too long, but I'm having too much fun. I love Tennessee, and I love this group, and all of you, thank you so much for all you do. It matters. And I'm going to tell you what, I tell this to my interns and the lowest ranked members of the staff. I say, don't worry if no one knows what you're doing, because God knows what you're doing, and He honors that. He honors it. He's going to honor you. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Stuart McWhirter.
I know everybody's enjoying, obviously they're enjoying their time. We're getting ready to start back, get this program going. I know one thing that a lot of people tell me is that these things go late. Tim Burchett told me today, don't go late. So we're going to try to get this back on. But I did want to say something very quickly. We had one of our fine weight staff went down here a little while ago, and I believe she is okay. She was able to make her way out. But I just want to ask that you all just recognize that and please pray for her recovery. And I'd also just want to ask that, or at least say thank you to all the staff here serving us today. Thank you all for doing this. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that makes this thing go. So we just want to say thank you to, and again, just recognize the one that fell ill, and that we will be praying for her and her quick recovery. Thank you.
The smile on your face lets me know.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the video screen for another special presentation.
Howard Baker, a true statesman who represented what was best about Tennessee and the Republican Party, a leader who dedicated his life to public service and the people of this great state. William Bill Jenkins is a true Republican statesman whose career spans over 4 decades of service to Tennessee. Born in Detroit in 1936 to Tennessee parents, he grew up in Rogersville, earned degrees from Tennessee Tech and the University of Tennessee College of Law, and served in the U.S. Army before entering politics. Elected to the Tennessee House in 1962, Jenkins made history in 1969 as the first Republican speaker since Reconstruction holding that distinction for the rest of the 20th century. In 1970, he ran for governor, later serving as Commissioner of Conservation under Governor Dunn and as a senior advisor to Governor Lamar Alexander. He went on to serve on the Tennessee Valley Authority Board as a circuit court judge, and in 1996 was elected to represent Tennessee's 1st congressional district. Jenkins served 5 terms in Congress, championing conservative principles before retiring in 2006 to spend more time with his family. Known for his love of the outdoors and as the best bass fisherman in Congress, Jenkins remains in Rogersville and is regarded as one of the most respected figures in Tennessee political history. The Tennessee Republican Party and the people of Tennessee thank you for your many years of service.
For a special presentation, please welcome Chairman Scott Golden and the family of Bill Jenkins for the presentation of the Howard Baker Award.
Evening. Is everybody having a great time tonight? We said backstage that we could just stop the speaking and let everybody hang out together. That's what it sounds like, is that everybody's enjoying everybody's company. But tonight we have a special honor. The Howard Baker Award, started by Chairman Chris Devaney, signifies the highest award that the Tennessee Republican Party can give. And this year we have chosen to give it to Speaker, Congressman, Commissioner Bill Jenkins of Rogersville, Tennessee. Unfortunately, the congressman could not be with us tonight, but he has sent his son, Judge Jenkins, and he will read a letter on the congressman's behalf to talk about what this man did. To put it in perspective, I know we just heard from the Speaker of the House. Bill Jenkins was the only Republican speaker in the 20th century in Tennessee. One in 100 years, and it was Bill Jenkins. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present this award to the son of Bill Jenkins and a giant in Tennessee politics, Mr. Congressman Bill Jenkins. Doug, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you all. I come as an emissary from my father, and he's written a statement he wanted me to read. It won't take but just a second. I'm writing to thank this grand old party for the opportunities I have been given to see the party become Tennessee's major political party and to provide Tennesseans with a solid and well-managed government. I was blessed to become the first Republican speaker in the House of Representatives in the history of our state. In the early 1960s, Republican ideas took hold in our state. The Democrat supermajority had become institutionalized and began to serve the party rather than the people. As Republicans, we rode the wave, and for the political science students in the room, the U.S. Supreme Court case of Baker versus Carr helped us to overcome the resistance to our momentum by the Democrat political machine and gain power for the first time in the 20th century. I was fortunate to be a cabinet member in Governor Winfield Dunn's cabinet, the first Republican governor in 50 years. I was honored to be appointed by President Richard Nixon to be a member of the TVA Board of Directors, and I was also fortunate to be elected as a U.S. Congressman from Upper East Tennessee. I had so many opportunities in my life for which I am eternally grateful to the people of our great state and the Grand Old Party that I was often introduced as the man who had trouble keeping a job. I retired from public life after serving 10 years in the U.S. Congress, a self-imposed term limit. I did not want to wear out my welcome by overstaying my tenure as a salaried servant of the people. Finally, I want to express my overwhelming gratitude to the members of this party and the voters of this state who blessed my career from the very beginning to the end. Thank you.
At this time, please welcome Congressman John Rose.
Wow, is it good to be in Tennessee? Good evening, I'm John Rose. I'm a Christian, a husband to a beautiful wife, a father to 2 great sons, a farmer, a small business owner, a lifelong Tennessean, and I'm running to become governor of the great state of Tennessee. And when I say a great state, I really mean this is the greatest state. Tennessee is the greatest state in the greatest nation in the history of the world. We are grateful to the descendants of fearless pioneers that carved out this state. Those pioneers are why I'm standing here today. In 1790, John and Ann Lancaster and their 11 children came to Tennessee to claim a Revolutionary War grant sight unseen. Not knowing what was ahead of them, they and their 11 children packed up everything they had and traveled to the property that I get to farm today along with my family, along what would later be named the Caney Fork River. Together, they built a home and started a farm. The Lancasters were the first in my family to call Tennessee home. For those pioneers who traveled west, this place where we stand, where we sit tonight, was a mystery awaiting to be unraveled. There was plenty of mystery, there was plenty of danger, but also boundless opportunities. Day by day and year by year, those Tennesseans who came before us toiled and dedicated themselves to this land. They did so with a commitment always to the next generation. One generation would pass a better Tennessee on to the next, and so on and so on. In the midst of the struggle and the toil that brought us to today, there have been countless dreams realized and many others shattered. Unforgettable triumphs and unimaginable losses. Blood, sweat, and tears formed this state over many years with many hands. The great Tennesseans before us rejected a tyrannical monarchy and helped form a new nation. They defended America in the Battle of New Orleans. They saved Texas at the Alamo. They endured a civil war, and they defended our country through 2 world wars. They overcame sickness and disease. They survived an economic depression and near starvation. Life was not always as easy as it is for us today, but through faith, Tennesseans persevered. We have always been a people with tremendous faith in our God, unshakable, unyielding faith. In fact, millions of hours have been spent in faithful prayer by millions and generations of Tennesseans, people who boldly asked for this state to prosper. God heard those prayers, and we have indeed prospered. Because of the people who came before us, who chose to push past their fears and instead embrace hope, Tennessee is special and unique. Tennessee is as legendary as its people. President Andrew Jackson, Davy Crockett, Sergeant Alvin C. York, Ann Dallas Dudney, Elvis Presley, Alex Haley, Minnie Pearl, Pat Summitt, and of course, Dolly Parton. But those aren't the only Tennessee legends. My dad was a legend to me. How many sons and daughters of Tennessee would agree with that? He never held the nuclear football or the gavel at the Capitol, but he held me. He patiently taught me things like how to put up a fence, how to drive a tractor, how to milk a cow. He took me to meetings at the co-op and the Farm Bureau, and when he worked at what is now called Farm Credit, he took me to his office. I literally learned at his feet. Jerry Rose made time for me and impacted me in legendary ways. My mom was a public school teacher, and I'm the youngest of her 4 children. She used her years of expertise as a teacher to teach me the alphabet and how to write. She inspired me to learn and to achieve and broaden my definition of what is possible in life. Betty Rose and Tennessee mothers like her are legends in my book. Tonight there are people, Tennessee legends, in this crowd who have stood in the fire and held the banner proudly and strongly for this state. Our people, our faith, our strength, and our determination, that is our heritage. I'm running for governor because I believe Tennessee's heritage, built by its people, should not be left in the past. The heritage of our people should live in our future. It's up to us to maintain the character of this great state and grow wisely. Tennessee children deserve great schools, and parents deserve a seat at the table. In this state, we reject the notion that where a person starts in life is where they must finish. No. It is through learning that children from all circumstances have a chance to realize the American dream. In Tennessee, we need a well-maintained and sufficient roadway system. We have to agree collectively that potholes and traffic jams are a thing of the past. Better roads quite literally mean a better way of life for all Tennesseans. Tennesseans need accessible and quality health care and mental health care everywhere, not just in the big cities. We want all Tennesseans to live long and healthy lives. If Tennessee is going to be as prosperous for the next 229 years as we have been for the last, we have to be a national leader for reliable and abundant energy. All energy sources must be on the table, but Tennessee can be a leader in nuclear power. More energy will equal more jobs and better opportunity for this state. Like everyone in this audience, I want to protect the innocent unborn. I will work with our conservative state legislature and our great House Speaker Cameron Sexton and Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally to make every measure possible to always protect life in Tennessee. And I will work daily to support vulnerable children with a responsive and capable Department of Children's Services. And following in the footsteps of Governor Lee, I want to see Tennessee be a national leader when it comes to making adoption attainable for Tennessee families. I will stand firm for the Second Amendment rights of every Tennessean by supporting the enactment in Tennessee of true constitutional carry. Our constitutional rights, as we heard Speaker Johnson say, are given by God and secured by man. I promise to always keep and defend our Constitution. Washington, D.C.'s values are not our values. We are fiercely independent, and we plan to keep it that way. This is Tennessee. I am running to fill some big shoes. I know it, or we might say some big boots. Governor Lee and First Lady Maria Lee, we thank you for your service and sacrifice to this state and to these great people today and across our state. We all saw how tirelessly Bill Lee worked to meet the people of Tennessee and introduce himself to us, one by one, many times. And we saw how that determination to be personally connected to the people paid off. I am striving to do the same. I may not be a household name just yet, but I would love to visit your household. I may not be on the TV in your living room as often as some, but I'd love to sit down with you at your kitchen table and hear what matters to you. I promise never to talk at you, but to talk with you. This race, though, is not about me. It's not about power. It's about you. And I want to learn from you the ideas that you have to chart a course for the next 8 years of Tennessee. You know, it will be, in the great scheme of things, a very short chapter in our great history, but it's one that we will write together. Again, it's a pleasure to be with you. I'm John Rose. I'm a native son of Tennessee, and I'm asking for your vote to be the next governor of Tennessee. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the video screens as we honor the 2025 Statesman of the Year.
Good evening, friends. It's my honor to present the Statesman of the Year award given to a leader whose life reflects faith, integrity, and a commitment to serving others. Tonight's honoree was born and raised in East Tennessee, learning compassion from his mother and a strong work ethic from his father. At just 14, he was working in a hunting and fishing store for $1 an hour. And there he discovered the dignity of honest work and the value of doing things right the first time. His faith has been his guide through every season of life. When he became a single dad to his young daughter, Rachel, he stepped up, braiding her hair, cooking supper, and making sure her life was defined not by hardship, but by opportunity. In God's perfect timing, Jackie came into his life. She became his wife, his partner, and together with Jackie's daughters, Courtney and Kaylee, they built a strong and wonderful family. He put his life and aspirations on hold to support his daughter, Rachel, in her sports career, and once that chapter came to a close, he began focusing on his own goals, competing in nearly 20 endurance events, including Spartan races and bone frog courses. He also earned certification as a personal trainer and continues to lead boot camp classes several nights a week, as often as his schedule permits, that is. For the first time in 20 years, he was dedicating time to his own ambitions. It was during this period of personal growth that the opportunity to run for office presented itself. In public service, he's worn many hats. Hamlin County Commissioner, 3-time Chairman of the Commission, County GOP Chairman, and now Hamlin County Mayor. He has led with a servant's heart, advocating for his community, standing firm in his Republican values, and giving back through countless boards, charities, and church leadership. Now, he'll tell you none of it would be possible without his faith in God and the steady love of Jackie and their family. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring a true servant leader, our Statesman of the Year, Mr. Chris Cutshaw.
Hey everybody, Congressman Tim Burchett. My Statesman of the Year is my friend Frank Nicely. Sadly, Frank passed away on his farm earlier this year. He didn't know anything about fruit. He believed in farming. He believed in states' rights. And he believed in raw milk. Frank was my dear friend. He was independent and he was a fighter. He fought for the rights of property owners and farmers specifically. But he also had a streak of independence that is sorely missed today in the American political scene. He will be missed. He left behind his wife, 2 daughters, 1 daughter had already passed, and a son. Frank was my friend, and I miss him.
Good evening. I'm Congressman Chuck Flashman, representing the 3rd District of Tennessee. This year's Statesman of the Year is my dear friend, Sharon Templeton. For years, Sharon Templeton has helped elect Republicans to local, state, and federal office. Personally, to me, when I was a young candidate running in 2010, I would go to the Roane County Courthouse, and many times it was only Sharon Templeton who was there for me. Time and time again, she has mentored candidates, helped our party, and helped get it done. In addition, she's a great asset in the Roane County business community, working for one of the best and most responsible contractors at the Oak Ridge Reservation. Sharon, thank you so much for all you've done for me, for the Republican Party, and for Roane County.
I'm Congressman Scott Desjardins, and it's my pleasure and honor to present Ivan Michelle Russell with the 2025 Statesman of the Year Award for the 4th Congressional District. In a time where only a handful of media entities can be trusted, you can count on Morning on the Mountain with Iva and friends to bring real news to Grundy County cable TV and online to our district as a whole. In today's biased political climate, I'm sometimes leery to answer reporters' calls. However, when Iva reaches out, I have always answered without hesitation. A decade ago, when Iva first launched her program, she allowed me the privilege of being her very first guest on air. She has been a great help to myself personally and many other elected officials in our district by allowing them the opportunity to come on her show and have her viewers hear directly from the source what legislative and local efforts they are working on. Her interview style and integrity are truly unmatched. Her political roots run deep. While in college, she worked on the 1984 Reagan-Bush campaign, and as President Reagan once said, all great change in America begins at the dinner table. But for Iva, that meant the picnic table. The Grundy County GOP Annual Picnic is one of the most widely attended events in our district and is run with great efficiency, thanks to her efforts and leadership as the former county party chairman. Iva Michelle has been a workhorse for our current president, including serving in 2016 as the 4th District co-chair for Donald J. Trump, and in 2024 she served as the 4th District alternate delegate to the Republican National Convention. She has worked on numerous local, state, and federal campaigns, steadfastly advancing conservative values in Tennessee's 4th District. When the going gets tough, Iva is always there to answer the call. During difficult election season, she has been an invaluable asset to ensuring Republicans get elected at every level of government. She is loved by our community, a great personal friend, and a conservative icon in our state. For these reasons and so many more, I am honored to award her the 2025 Statesman of the Year Award for Tennessee's 4th Congressional District. Congratulations to a well-deserved and long overdue honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and fellow Tennesseans, it is with profound honor and a heartfelt gratitude that I come before you today to nominate Julie Beeman for the Statesman of the Year. Julie's story is not just one of service, it is a testament of the unyielding spirit that defines our great state and the conservative values we hold dear. From the young age of 12, Julie got involved in politics by greeting voters at Franklin High School in support of a Family Friends campaign, igniting a lifelong passion for God and country. That spark grew through her college years, where she interned in the U.S. House and the Senate, led her sorority, and stepped into national roles. But Julie's journey wasn't confined to campaigns. As a director of organizational development, she built trust, inspired teams, and drove exceptional outcomes in the private sector, skills she later brought to Tennessee's government. Appointed by Governor Bill Lee in 2019, Julie served in executive leadership until 2024, breaking down silos, strengthening teams, and fusing culture with strategy to transform state operations. She orchestrated the grassroots heart of Governor Lee's campaign, traversing all 95 counties, and as personal director for his transition, she laid the foundation for principled governance. Yet Julie's deepest pride lies in motherhood. She raised her twin sons with the same devotion, teaching them civic duty from stroller side voting to yard signs and party events. Her home in Nashville, shared with husband Lee, remains a beacon for causes advancing God and country. As chairman of the Williamson County Republican Party, Julie grew membership, mobilized volunteers, revitalized our young Republicans, and hosted record-breaking events with luminaries like Ben Carson. Her volunteerism spans boards like the Conservative Partnership Institute and the Council for National Policy, pouring her soul into the GOP and the conservative movement, fostering unity, faith, and freedom. Julie Beeman embodies the profound truth that true statesmanship is selfless service, weaving family, faith, and fortitude into the fabric of Tennessee. She has given us stronger communities, unbreakable teams, and a legacy of conservative resilience. I proudly nominate Julie Beeman as our Statesman of the Year for Tennessee's 5th Congressional District. God bless.
Good evening. I'm Congressman John Rose, and I have the honor of presenting the 2025 6th District Statesman of the Year Award to a true patriot, a dedicated wife, mother, and grandmother, and she also happens to be known as Tennessee's own Iron Lady, former State Senator May Beavers. May is an Alabama native, but it didn't take her long to get to Tennessee. May graduated from Tribeca Nazarene University and worked as a court reporter while attending the Nashville School of Law. From early in her adult life, May cared deeply about her community and wanted to be involved. She won a seat on the Wilson County Commission in 1990 and immediately established herself as a strong fiscal conservative, serving as the first chair of the County Commission Finance Committee. In 1994, May won the 57th State House seat and immediately became the conservative conscience of the Tennessee House of Representatives. She was a champion for pro-life issues and the Second Amendment. Tennessee is a beacon for the nation when it comes to protecting our unborn, and May was a critical piece in that effort. May has never let the prospect of a good fight run her off. In fact, she was the first Republican state legislator to openly oppose the state income tax. In doing so, Senator Beavers set off a tidal wave of opposition that was supported by fellow legislators and hundreds of dedicated horn honkers. Without question, May Beavers stood in the breach when it mattered most. That fierce determination to do the right thing led May to challenge her own state senator, a Democrat incumbent who happened to be the lead sponsor of the income tax legislation. Well, it's no surprise to those who know her, May won. She kicked the state income tax's butt and out of the Tennessee political vernacular. In many ways, her eventual election to the state Senate set the tone for the direction of Tennessee's future. The Democrats did everything they could to stop May, making it one of the most expensive legislative campaigns in Tennessee history at the time. But they could not stop May and her many future constituents, including myself, from sending her to the upper chamber. Former Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey credits May as the beginning of the end, of Democrat allegiance in Middle Tennessee. In her years in the state Senate, May was the champion for many of the conservative issues then and now, from banning the income tax, defending marriage, and defining boys as boys and girls as girls. May was the first woman and the first Republican elected to the state legislature in 7 of the counties she represented. She was there for all of it, steadfast and determined. With her determination to further the Republican cause, it's no surprise that May stepped forward once again to lead Tennessee conservatives as an early and faithful endorser of President Trump. In 2016, May served as chairman of the Tennessee delegation for the Republican Convention in Cleveland, and again was a Trump delegate in 2020. In 2019, May was elected chair of the Wilson County Republican Party and continues to help Republicans win in Wilson County. Today, almost every office in Wilson County is held by a Republican, thanks to the efforts of May and her husband Jerry, a longtime member of the Tennessee Republican Party and an SEC member. In fact, today happens to mark 57 years of marriage for the Beavers. Today, May proudly serves as a member of the Board of Parole. She was appointed to the position by Governor Bill Lee in 2019 and has served faithfully for the past 6 years. May Beavers has been one of the most consequential fighters for our values in the history of Tennessee, and I'm extremely proud to present my former state senator and dear friend with the 2025 Statesman of the Year Award. May God continue to bless this great state of Tennessee with leaders like May Beavers. Congratulations, May.
Good evening. I'm Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson, and it's my honor to present the 2025 7th Congressional District Statesman Award to Mary Ann Parks. In a story that's familiar to most of us here tonight, Mary Ann accepted an invitation to a Young Republican meeting in 1986 while working at Commerce Union Bank. She was hooked. She joined the club that night and started volunteering for Terry Holcomb's campaign for Congress. During the special congressional election in 1987, Mary Ann quit her job at the bank and joined Holcomb's staff. During her time in the Young Republicans, Mary Ann made lifelong friendships, particularly at the National Young Republican Convention held in Nashville in 1989. For decades, Mary Ann Parks has been a fixture in every Republican campaign in Tennessee, including governor, Senate, Congress, the state legislature, and local races. You could always count on Mary Ann lending a helping hand in every way possible. She is a longtime member of the Robertson County Republican Party. She currently serves as the second vice chair of the Nashville Republican Women, and she's the co-host of First Tuesday. She's been an active member of the Tennessee GOP State Executive Committee since 2014, and she was a delegate for President Trump in 2016, 2020, and 2024. In 2020, Mary Ann had the honor of being the 6th District Presidential Elector. For nearly 40 years, Mary Ann Parks has volunteered, contributed, led, and guided the Tennessee Republican Party from a small minority to the supermajority party it is today. It is a well-deserved honor to present the 2025 Statesman of the Year Award to Mary Ann Parks.
Good evening. This year's 8th Congressional District Statesman of the Year recipient has dedicated her adult life to ensuring the best days of our community, our state, and our country lie ahead of us and not behind us. From politics to healthcare and civics clubs to public institutions, Peggy Larkin has volunteered her time working to make West Tennessee a better place to live, work, and raise a family. Peggy's resume is longer than a Costco receipt. I would run out of time listing her affiliations before I got halfway through it. And tonight, her resume will get one line longer with another title, the 2025 8th Congressional District Statesman of the Year. Many of you know in this room tonight how difficult it is to run a successful political campaign. And you also know that the success of any political campaign depends on whether or not you have the support of your local Republican women. For over 30 years, Peggy Larkin has served in numerous roles with the Shelby County Republican Party, including First Vice President and Executive Director. Along with her Shelby County GOP involvement, Peggy was the chairman of the 2012 Romney-Ryan campaign for Shelby County, served on the board of the Tennessee Federation of Republican Women, is a past president of the Republican Women of Purpose, volunteered on countless campaigns throughout West Tennessee, and was a delegate to the 2024 Republican National Convention. Now, in addition to Peggy's political involvement, she served the community in so many significant roles. Peggy's a past president and board member of the Germantown Performing Arts Center, board chairman for the Memphis Oral School for the Deaf, past presidents of the Friends of the Pink Palace Museum, and a past president of the Memphis and Shelby County Medical Alliance. As a member of Congress in the Tennessee delegation, Roberta and I think long and hard about this event each year. Focus on making a good, solid choice to honor and thank a true statesman. Peggy, you've had a long and respected career serving your community. On behalf of Republicans in the 8th Congressional District and across the state of Tennessee, we say thank you. Thank you for supporting candidates at the local, state, and federal level. Thank you for choosing to promote and defend conservative values. Thank you for your humility and your leadership. Roberta and I are proud of you. We are honored to call you a true friend. Ladies and gentlemen, this year's 8th Congressional District Statesman of the Year, Peggy Larkin. Congratulations, Peggy.
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, and it's my pleasure to present the 2025 Statesman Award for the 9th Congressional District to Mr. Tim Beecham. Tim began his career in politics knocking on doors and attending picnics for Representative Jimmy Wallace in Madison and Gibson County. While at Memphis State University in 1978, he called the Shelby County Republican Party headquarters and asked for a come-along button and yard sign for his dorm room featuring Governor Alexander. Tim helped with the campaign that year by serving as a poll watcher in North Memphis while being involved in student election affairs. In 1987, he worked for the Memphis Police Department. Unfortunately, he was paralyzed from a gunshot wound and decided to enroll in law school. The following year, Tim and his late wife, Kathy, were both invited to the Shelby County Lincoln Day dinner by his law school classmate, David Kustoff, and they were introduced by Chairman John Ryder, and later served as a poll watcher on the Shelby County Primary Board. Since 2006, Tim has been an active member of the Republican Lawyers Association and has conducted training for Election Day in operations all over the Southeast at his own expense. In 2011, he served the Shelby County Executive Committee as parliamentarian and counsel, and has been in charge of 8 county reorganizations. He is serving his first term as a member of the Tennessee State GOP Executive Committee, and he is the loving father of 2, grandfather of 3, and has 1 great-grandchild. For 44 years, Tim Beecham has served the people of Memphis and Shelby County, first as a police officer and now as Assistant District Attorney. It's my honor to thank you, Tim, and congratulate you on the 2025 Statesman Award.
Ladies and gentlemen, from District 1, please welcome Chris Cutshaw and Senator Bobby Harshberger. From District 2, the family of Senator Frank Nicely and Congressman Tim Burchett. And now from District 3, Sharon Templeton and Congressman Chuck Fleischman. From District 4, Ivan Michelle and Congressman Scott DeJarlais. From District 5, Julie Beeman and Congressman Andy Ogles. From the 6th District, May Beavers and Congressman John Rose. Yeah. From the 7th District, Marianne Parks and Tennessee Majority Leader Jack Johnson. From the 8th District, Peggy Larkin and Congressman David Kustoff. And from the 9th District, Tim Beechin and Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 Statesman of the Year. If everybody can step forward, please, on the stage for a picture. If everybody can move forward so we can take a picture, please. Yeah, please move forward. We're going to get a picture. Thank you. And thank you to the class of 2025. Please welcome our congressional delegation.
Well, I want to thank y'all for that warm introduction. I'm Congressman Tim Burchett. I guess I'll start this thing off. Did we have Hot Pockets tonight? Is that what we had for dinner? I thought it was pretty good. I know y'all enjoyed your wonderful chicken dinners tonight. And I told my buddy Andy Holt, if I go over 2 minutes, he's supposed to fake a stroke, so I have to get off the dadgum stage. So I'll be very brief. But it's a pleasure being here with y'all. It's a pleasure representing y'all in Congress. We've got a lot of things ahead of us in this congressional year. We've had a lot in the past. Could you imagine the people that we're against? They want men in dresses playing against our little girls in sports. They want an open border. They want us energy independent for those people overseas. I tell you what, folks, they can eat their dadgum oil and sand. Let's get it all right here. Let's get it all right here. We need to take back our country. Take it back at the water cooler, the town squares, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere you go, and in our schools. We have turned our back on our Lord, and we are about to face the consequences until we took this country back, and I believe we're on the right path right now. As I stated, it's a pleasure serving y'all in the United States Congress, and I've heard President Trump say this many times, that they're not after him. He's just standing in the way of you all. And that's clearly what we've got. We've got a clear leader in the White House, and it is no mistake that he turned his head a quarter of an inch. The Bible says if God knows if a sparrow falls from the sky or how many hairs we have on our head, he surely knows. He surely has this country in the palm of his hand. Look, I don't want President Trump teaching my daughter's Sunday school class, but dadgum, I love it having him at Pennsylvania Avenue. Don't y'all? Right on. And I'll conclude with this. If I'm ever in charge of this dadgum dinner, we're going to have Kentucky Fried Chicken or Popeyes. And as I always say on my Twitter things, thank y'all for sending me here. Thank y'all. And I want to introduce the best ball player out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, my dear friend, Chuck Fleischman.
Tim, thank you. Tim and I have just been on the 5-year winning streak for the Republicans against the Democrats on the baseball field. Way to go, Tim. It was about 1987, maybe 1988, and my wife Brenda and I came to this wonderful place in Nashville, Tennessee called the Statesman Dinner. The rooms were smaller then, but the spirit was strong. And tonight, as I was watching all the videos and seeing those great statesmen who've gone before us, many of whom have passed away, thank God, many of them are still with us, I learn and I think and I thank each and every one of you. Tonight, Stuart McWhorter and Scott Golden and great folks just did a tremendous job putting together a record statesman's dinner. Thank you. I remember when our great party was in the minority and was just fighting and scratching to become the majority party in Tennessee. And I will tell you this, we have supermajorities in the House and the Senate and the state. We have a great Republican president. We have majorities in the United States House, albeit smaller, and we will grow it in the United States Senate. But I'm telling you this, when I sit and I speak with Donald Trump, and I bring up the great state of Tennessee, I see a special gleam in his eye. Because even though Donald Trump hails from New York and Florida, he knows this. Tennessee's got his back, Tennessee's got his mind, and Tennessee's got his heart. God bless America, God bless President Trump, and let's keep winning. Good night. Now my classmate and co-dean from the 4th District for Tennessee, the great Scott DesJarlais.
Well, I'm just going to start with the 4 sweetest words you can hear from a politician. I'm going to keep this short. What a great night. Tonight's about all of you guys. It's about our statesmen. It's to come together and honor everybody who's worked so hard. It's for all of you that paid to come here and listen to this. All the great speakers. Mike Johnson did a great job. Scott Golden going into his 9th year in leadership, and it's just an honor to serve with these fine gentlemen and Diana and our great senators, Haggerty and Blackburn. And so thank you for giving us the honor to serve you. Thanks to all of you out there who serve at the state level, local level. And let's keep it going. We gotta win in the midterms and make sure that we keep Trump's agenda in line. And if I don't shut up, it's not, my first line is not gonna be true. So thank you all for being here tonight. And I would like to now introduce my friend and colleague from the 5th Congressional District, Mr. Andy Ogles.
Well, good evening. How many people are grateful that President Trump is in the White House? You know, as one of the members of Congress who regularly talks to the president and Elon Musk, I want you to know the president the way I know the president. So go back to the election. President Trump has just won the popular vote, the Electoral College, and all of the battleground states. It's the next morning, and Monica and I, my wife is here. We're cooking breakfast for the kiddos, and I'm flipping eggs, and I asked the kids, hey, would y'all like to call the president? They're like, really? So as I'm flipping eggs, I call Donald Trump, and I tell the kids ahead of time, he's not going to answer. I mean, he's the president-elect. He will have been up till 2 or 3 in the morning because he's a night owl. By the way, if I need Donald Trump to respond, I text him at 1 in the morning because I know he has his phone and he will respond. So it's early. He's been up all night. It rings again. And I tell the kids, get ready. We're going to leave the president a voicemail. On the 3rd ring, the phone fumbles and he answers. I said, well, in this moment, there's that moment of terror because I really didn't have a business reason to call him. I said, Mr. President, it's Congressman Ogles from Tennessee 5. And I've got my family here, and they'd like to tell you something. Over the next few minutes, the President of the United States, who's probably had 2 or 3 hours of sleep, spends time talking to my wife and to my kids. Obviously, I was grateful. And now, by the way, I'll get personal for a moment. I asked my daughter when they get home from school, I said, hey, did you tell any of your friends that you talked to the president? She was like, well, Dad, not everybody's as conservative as you, but I told a few friends. I asked our little one, Isaac. He said, Dad, I told my buddy, Ollie. Then I asked my 15-year-old, Drew, who's 6'1" and full of personality. He said, Dad, I told everybody. But the reason I tell you that story is because President Donald Trump truly loves this country. When he hugged that flag on that picture that you've seen, he truly loves the American flag. He truly cares what the members of Congress think and say, which is why I'm at the White House regularly. And more importantly, he cares about you. We have secured the border. We've made the Trump tax cuts permanent. We have made foreign governments kneel before the president wanting a trade tariff relief. Why? Because he has God on his side, and he has we, the people of the United States of America, we have his back. Thank you for being here. God bless you, and God bless America. And my colleague from West Tennessee, David Kustoff.
Thank you, Andy. Good evening. You know, I think back a year ago right now, and we were coming up on Election Day, and we all said the same thing. Some of you have worked, this may have been your first campaign last year, it may have been your 10th. And you all said, this is the most important election of our lifetime. And we knew it was on the line. And you got out there and worked. And you elected men and women of conservative values, and it paid off. We got the trifecta. We elected Donald Trump. We got a majority in the United States Senate. We kept our majority in the United States House of Representatives. We've been working hard, ladies and gentlemen. We've been on Trump time. And a lot has happened in these first 7 and 8 months. You heard from Speaker Johnson. And by the way, didn't Speaker Johnson do a great job tonight? Isn't he terrific? I don't know about you guys. I think he's the only one that can do this job leading the House of Representatives. I told somebody earlier tonight, I think being the Speaker of the House is the second most difficult job in Washington, D.C. But he's led and we've led. And probably the most important piece of legislation, definitely the most important piece of legislation that we've passed this year that you heard Speaker Johnson talk about is the One Big Beautiful Bill. And folks, we're going to be talking about this all year, this year and all year next year. The other side, frankly, is not going to tell the truth about it. They're going to say that people are kicked off of Medicaid and they're kicked off of SNAP. The fact of the matter is that for everybody's going to see a benefit in their taxes. Small businesses see a benefit with the Section 199A being made permanent. We made the estate tax exemptions permanent, and that's a big deal for 2 million of our family farms and small businesses across the country. We are working hard to make America great again. And I'm proud with these guys to help lead the charge. Let me say this to all the Statesman's winners tonight, all 9 of you men and women, we are all so proud of all of you. Aren't you proud of them and their work tonight? And Scott Golden backstage. Scott, are you back there? If you are, if you can come out for just a second. If you're not, then that's fine. We'll say to Scott Golden, congratulations to Chairman Golden and the Tennessee GOP for the most successful Statesman's Dinner in Tennessee GOP history. Come on out, Scott. Take a bow. Thank you, man. Thank you. Now go back there. Okay. Let me say to you all, we're working hard for you. We're all working hard, helping to lead the charge. All these men and Diana and John working hard in the House of Representatives. To all of you, may we say, may God bless you all. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you all very much. God bless.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally and Speaker of the Tennessee House, Cameron Sexton.
It's great to be a Republican. And it's great to be a Tennessean. Thank each and every one of you. I have a great privilege of getting to work with Governor Lee and the 27 or 26 other members of the Senate. And it's a great honor for me, and I really appreciate my colleagues in the Senate. I also very much appreciate Cameron Sexton, a great leader in the House, one of the greatest speakers the House has ever had. Cameron, glad to be with you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. It's great to be here with everybody tonight. It's great to be here with my good friend, Lieutenant Governor McNally, who I could almost say taught me how to drive a car. That's how long we've known each other. For all y'all here, I think there's booze after this at these receptions, so that might liven us up a little bit. Let me just say, it's Tennessee's golden age is what we're here talking about. And I know a lot when you, in your family, you want to know where you came from, right? We look at where we came from. Do we come from England, Scotland, Ireland? Well, in politics, we want to know where we came from too, and that's what tonight was all about. And I want to thank the Jenkins family and Speaker Jenkins for being one of the first Republican speakers, especially a long time ago, and for the service that he did that has set the stage for where we are today in the House of Representatives. So thank you to the Jenkins family for everything that you have done. And I can't help but when they had the thing, it says it's morning in America. Well, 15 years ago in Tennessee, we had morning in Tennessee, and it's been a great 15 years, I have to say, with 2 great governors and making the Democrat Party complain about putting a hole in the ground now. So let me just say, as we're here tonight, I want to do one thing about Ronald Reagan. There was a speech that he gave back in the 1960s. It was "A Time for Choosing" was the name of the speech. And it was when after he left the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party left him, and he became a Republican. And in that speech, he said, "You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. Well preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the first step into 1,000 years of darkness. We will keep in mind and remember that Barry Goldwater has faith in us. He has faith that you and I have the ability and the dignity and the right to make our own decisions and to determine our own destiny." Do those words still not live today? Coming from a man who left one party to join the other party and became one of the greatest presidents that we ever had. And he wasn't talking about individuals, he was talking about the Republican Party We are the party of hope, and we will not achieve our destiny if we cannot unite and not divide our party. We are bigger than naming, calling names, attacking one another. Our demise will be when we divide ourselves instead of pulling ourselves together. And I will say it's great to have Speaker Johnson who talks about God. It's great to have a governor who talks about his faith. And isn't it great that we have a God that says you don't have to be perfect to claim him as your Savior and Lord? Because I guarantee you, all of us in this room, there's not a single thing that we're all going to agree on 100% of the time. And that's what makes us great. But I'm sure am happy that our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, does not require us to be perfect, because we would never have the opportunity to meet him at the right time. And so that leads me to the Legislator of the Year Award. And it's a House member who believes in party, who's a strong Republican, who listens to his district back home. He fights to protect law enforcement. He fights to protect our communities. He works on toughening sentencing to keep criminals in jail and not out on the streets. He fights against the woke DAs and the progressive DAs in our state. There's only one. We all know where that one is. But he's a champion of many things, of children. He passed legislation to put adult changing tables in restrooms because it was what was needed. And he had the vision and the capacity to do it. I've seen him stand up on a House floor when there was much debate. And I know some of you all watch the House sometimes because you tell me you do, which I find very interesting. But he had the capability of standing up. And as you know, we argue, fuss, and fight. And sometimes we don't make sense, and the next person doesn't make sense. And all of a sudden, we're jumbled up over there. He has the capability of standing up and within 45 seconds being very clear, precise, and telling us exactly, well, this is what this really does. It doesn't do all this. It does this. And then we're able to regroup and move forward and make a difference for the state of Tennessee. So it's my privilege and my honor to say the Legislator of the Year is State Representative Clay Doggett. Go ahead.
Thank you. No. I seen that on a YouTube short the other day. Some guy got an award. I think it was Adam Sandler in the Happy Gilmore. He was like, "Thank you." But if I'd known I was getting an award, I would have shaved. But I thank you so much. I'm not gonna lie. We were leaving 45 minutes ago. We've got 4 kids at home. That chicken had a bone in it and corn, and I don't like corn. So I'm glad I texted somebody that I was leaving. They said, "No, you got to stay," because I still had no idea. But so we stuck it out. But no, thank you so much. It's, this state is, it was said earlier, the greatest state in the history of the world, greatest country. So it's a great honor.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chairman of the Tennessee Republican Party, Scott Golden.
Well, I know everyone's looking at their watches. It's like Survivor backstage, by the way. People just keep leaving, and we're down to like one person left, so it's me. But I promise you that I'm the only thing that's holding you here. It's almost 9 o'clock, and I just got to say thank you for everybody taking time out of your evening to be with us here tonight on this historic occasion and supporting the Tennessee Republican Party. Please give yourselves a great big round of applause. Need to thank a whole bunch of people, starting with Stuart McWhorter. Thank you for the many hours and phone calls that you have made to make this dinner one of the best in the history of our state. Certainly our production team, Steve, and all of his crew that make this ballroom look spectacular. The Opryland team that has been so wonderful to work for when we knew we were coming here over the last 90 days. And particularly, I give a great big shout out to Ginger and our interns who have done an unbelievable job. She has worked so hard. I can tell you that she knew every name and every name tag in this room. She knew where you were seated. She knew who you were sitting with. She worked very hard. Ginger, this has been a fantastic evening, and so thank you. So tonight, we are back in this room where the Tennessee Republican Party started nearly a century ago holding statesmen's dinners. And tonight we're celebrating Tennessee's golden age, but there was a time when Republicans met in this room and we were in the super minority. We were in the minority. We had no governors. We had no senators. 2 or 3 members of Congress and the rest of the delegation were Democrats. And yet Republicans chose to gather here to support one another. Maybe not the 1,600 that are here or 1,700 that are here tonight, but they gathered in hope that one day all the work would come to fruition and we would have a supermajority in the legislature, that we would have a tremendous governor, that we would have 2 tremendous senators, and that we would have 8-1 in a delegation, leaving only Steve Cohen as the lead Democrat in the state. That's bad enough if you're a Democrat. We have worked very hard, and it all starts in this room. But I will say that if we don't continue to come to this room, as Speaker Johnson said, and I got to tell you, what a heck of a keynote speech that he gave this evening. We need to give a big shout out. I think some of his team is still here. They worked extremely hard and were very gracious with their time. Speaker Johnson could have been anywhere in the country tonight, and he chose to be with us here in Tennessee. And in fact, he said it. He said in the order of speaking, he said, we spoke at the RNC convention. That was the largest crowd, the Madison Square Garden rally with President Trump. And tonight's crowd is the 3rd largest that he's ever spoken to since he's been speaker. Says a lot about where we are in Tennessee. And we are indeed enjoying the golden age. I think about the names that have come to this dinner, names like Kissinger, Dole, Gingrich, speakers, vice presidents, Quayle, Cheney, Pence, have all stood in this place and said it is important to support the Tennessee Republican Party. Because just because we're enjoying the golden age now doesn't mean that we're always going to be able to enjoy the golden age. So we have to continue the fight, and you guys are doing that here this evening. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for taking time, taking your money, and choosing to support this worthy cause of making our state the state that it is. So thank you. I just looked at my watch, it's 9:01. It's a perfect ending. But I will let you know that even though the Tennessee Republican Party Statesman's Dinner started here a century or half a century ago, this was named the Presidential Ballroom until last night. While we slept, they changed the name of this ballroom. It is now called the Volunteer Ballroom. So we are, yes. So we are holding the first event ever in the history of the volunteer ballroom here tonight. Now, I say this all the time, that there is only one thing more important in Tennessee than politics, and that's football, which is why this dinner tonight on the 23rd was the last weekend available before everybody starts wearing orange next week. So with that said, thank you all for coming here this evening. Thank you to all of our speakers, Senator Hagerty, Senator Blackburn, Governor Lee, Mike Johnson, John Rose, Tim Burchett, Chuck Fleischman, Scott Desjardins, David Kustoff. I'm sure I'm forgetting one, and I'll hear about it. Speaker Sexton, Governor McNally, Andy Ogles, thank you. Somebody was keeping tabs. We are blessed with the greatest leadership that a state can ask for. All of the legislators in here and everything that you do keep us moving in the right direction. And as long as we keep doing that, Tennessee will never give up on the golden age. So with that being said, this concludes the 2025 Statesman's Dinner. Thank you all for coming. Football starts next weekend. Go Vols!